Team Warramai with 90 degrees.
Today is something a little bit different to start off before we move to the substantive part of our presentation. Appreciate you've already had a chance to review our prospectus. We're going to do something a little bit different. It's going to be a bit annoying. I'm going to get you to stand up. Our team members would like to get to know you a little bit better, so you know what you're coming on board for 90 degree. And likewise, we'd like to get to know you a little bit better so that we can form those networks that we think are going to be integral to the success of our business. So I'll get the team members to come and introduce themselves to you, and we'll go from there. All right, thank you very much. And we just thought we'd start off additionally by getting you a little bit of an introduction about 90 degree, who we are, why we think we're solving a problem that's very real and that's currently preventing the Hunter from becoming the economic and social powerhouse that we all think it can be. Firstly, though, and our team namesake, Team Warramai, I'd like to acknowledge the Warramai and the Awabakal people who are the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We're very happy to have you here as well today as our inaugural, hopefully, Network Connections, and look forward to welcoming you on board at the end of our presentation. So to give you a little bit of an idea about what we see as the issue and the void into which 90 degree is going to be fulfilling, I'll ask my colleague Tyler to give you a bit of an update and a conceptualisation of the problem as we see it.
Thank you, Kate. So to start with, we need to define what the problem is as we as 90 degree see it. So what is the brain drain? How widespread is it? And what are the main factors contributing to it? In order to determine this, we undertook some primary and secondary research, and out of this we found that the brain drain does exist across Newcastle and the Hunter region, or at least the perception that it exists. You all have our report in front of you, and I'd like to bring to your attention a couple of the more compelling data points from our research. In our survey, we asked respondents why they thought young people completed their education here but subsequently left on completion. Results from this, across the three age demographics as shown here, indicate that all age groups agree. One of the major contributing factors is the lack of opportunities in their field of study. Interestingly enough, the youngest demographic also have a swathe of other reasons for leaving, including desire for more money, better conditions, lack of jobs generally, lack of preparedness for work, and a desire to move away from the area. Now, whilst we can't control or influence the last point, we hope that those who are keen to spread their wings do leave the region, do gain cultural experience and practical experience, and return to Newcastle later in life for the lifestyle, with a wealth of experience to share. And why can't we satisfy that wish right here in the Hunter? As an example, from my university cohort, and many of us will have similar stories, nearly half of those I've stayed in contact with have left the region for other capital cities in order to find suitable employment in their field of study. Many have expressed their desire to return, but that is proving difficult due to the job market and for their expertise in the Hunter region. Further, the quality indicators for learning and teaching indicate the University of Newcastle is punching well above its weight in terms of teaching experience, but lacks a local job market to match. Full-time employment for these students is lagging behind most other universities within New South Wales. In order to keep young talent within the region, this needs to be improved, which is where 90 degree can assist. Local business is also facing the challenge of finding the right young talent for their roles, and my colleague Amanda will speak to this challenge.
Thanks, Tyler. That leads pretty well into what I want to share with everyone. Putting the local business hat on and speaking from that point of view in this moment, see if you can relate to any of these familiar scenarios. Have you ever found it difficult to fill a role because of the lack of suited candidates available? Have you found it frustrating not having the skills and job-ready individuals available locally? Do you import skills to the area? Do you see oversupply in some areas and undersupply in other areas, your areas? Hunter businesses could be so well connected. How do we better inform ourselves in the interest of growth? Whether it's a student seeking a business or a business seeking a student and many other possibilities in between. I recently witnessed how 90 could have enabled my manager an ideal candidate for a research project on a short-term basis. I had a light bulb moment and thought 90 would provide that person. and we have a growing number of solutions that your business would benefit from. Now I'd like to put the personal hat on and talk to an experience that I had when seeking a pathway into the working world and the negative impact that ill-informed advice can have on that part of your life. Sitting for the HSC and thought, well, let's get this ball rolling. I fronted up at a reputable linking agency and resume in hand, got up to the door and went in and said that I want to be an electrician and then I want to be an electrical engineer. So, and it has to be in the industrial sector. What do you have? What do you have available that, and you know, and he, without even the blink of an eye, said that there's no space for someone like you in that area. So very disappointed in that result and full of questions like, was that a waste of my time or was that actually save wasting a few years heading in the wrong direction? And I was thinking, what data was that advice based on? What statistics did that group have access to? What areas did they know were going to be in boom in the next 5 years, opposed to the one that I eagerly wanted? Either way, I was more than willing to leave the Hunter area in pursuit of obtaining my already existing goal, because no further information was presented in that situation that helped my decision-making process. And that's why I'm passionate about being part of the 90-degree team. Because I look forward to a time when we will be responsible for providing accurate research data to give credible guidance to a person in search of their career or relevant degree, just to help a person achieve their personal goals through their professional world. And having the chance to empower a person with the knowledge and influence they need to make an informed decision about their future and in turn the future of the Hunter. And we're excited about that opportunity and to be a part of that, and we hope that you are too.
Thanks, Amanda. So firstly, I'd just like to talk to you about the first part of our service offering, which is our student services. And that's comprised of two main programs, one being our student placement programs, and the second tranche being our skills building programs. So our student placement programs are admittedly quite similar to a number of offerings out there in the marketplace, and we at 90 Degree don't shy away from that fact. Indeed, it's something that the university offers as part of many of its degree programs. It's a mandatory requirement in degrees such as engineering, law and health professions. But what we see as our point of difference is that we can do it better. We can do it better because of the networks and the links that we have with industry that we just don't see exist at the moment. Like Amanda was saying as well, we see there being an opportunity for short-term placements, research projects, or entrepreneurial projects that business might not have the resource to fund a paid role for, but our graduates and our undergraduates could really be of some use to business in that capacity as well. We also see a need for short-term programs such as 6-week programs over the university break at the end of each year, as being that real taster for graduates and undergraduates going into a working environment to see whether they like it, but equally as much to see whether or not they're a good fit for that business and that industry. And then of course the last component of that program is our formal graduate program and the training that usually goes along with that. And to that we say that there is a lack in Newcastle and the Hunter Valley of those formal graduate programs. There are some big organisations that offer them, but our graduates are, I think, ill-served by the lack of depth in those programs as opposed to their metropolitan counterparts. The second tranche, as I said, is our skills building component, and I think again, building on what I was saying about really driving networks as the basis upon which we'll be placing students, our skills building component is again another point of difference. And I've certainly had the experience in my other life of having a graduate or a student come to me who I just didn't think was job ready, and they weren't in a position to be actually useful to me in the work that I do. So this is at 90 Degree, something we've identified as a real area that we can help students to work on. It's not their fault, essentially. They're getting a very solid and sound theoretical education through the University of Newcastle, but this component of our program really is about those practical skills, resume writing, social media, and professional image building, network building, as well as really basic things like how to turn up for work on time, how to be proactive, how to listen properly, and those other things that I'm sure you've identified as perhaps being lacking in the graduates and the students that you've had through your businesses. But however, I think our real point of difference and the thing that I'm really interested in and excited to tell you about is our market research component. And Jude is my colleague who is a champion of that market research arm of the business, and he's going to talk to you about that now.
Delighted to deliver. So, as Kate so kindly introduced, our market research is a point of difference. There's a lot of businesses that have services in placing people within other companies. Our point of difference comes down to our market research. The market research will be conducted across the region. We'll be looking at growth industries and large developments that are happening so that we can forecast the upcoming shortfalls that may be seen in the skills market. This information will be gathered through our local businesses, business organisations, government entities, unions, foundations, and key members of these organisations will also build our advisory board to make sure that we're getting regular and consistent information to our business. The research will focus on things such as employment trends, skills shortfalls, regional engagement and consultation. The biggest thing from this though is the benefits of the research itself. So they are manifold, but to name a few: providing governments with vital information on where funding should be focused, providing and aligning degrees with forecast growth areas to prevent shortfalls in the future, providing critical information to local businesses for forecasting purposes, providing critical information to corporates looking to expand into this area. There's an old saying that those that have knowledge don't predict, and we think by providing that knowledge and providing that research, we give people a foresight and forecast into what's coming in the region. It's also scalable and can be, at later stages, introduced into other regional areas around the country. The financial side of the business, I know this does get a bit boring, but unfortunately I was lumped with this.
It's our feasibility case. Absolutely.
The first year, we are running a very lean business model, and I'll go further into our income streams, but essentially the first year is all about finding the right people to produce this research. We do have placement services within the business, but we don't intend on merging into that market in the first year. So the first year is all about locating the best people, bringing them into the business, getting the best quality research, statisticians to put the data together to make sure that we can deliver on our promise. The second year we get a little bit of comfort, we move into an office, but we also welcome our connections coordinator, which will be helping us place people within businesses, within our business networks. The third year is a very aggressive campaign to make sure we really market and network as much as possible so that we can really start to get out of that new start stage and start pushing forward and really build the business. The third year is also where we will introduce our general manager, and we'll also go a lot deeper into market research by bringing an additional researcher on. There are a number of proposed income streams. I've got 5 here that I'd like to talk about. The most important being where we will get our funding as a new start business, and that's through the Building Better Regions Fund that's currently being managed through the RDA, Regional Development Australia. The Building Better Regions Fund is essentially set up to create economic growth within regional areas and to promote jobs growth, which is essentially what this company's purpose is all about. We're a not-for-profit, purely here to try and assist with creating positions within the region and also prevent those shortfalls or those gaps in the future. The funding, essentially we've met every prerequisite of the funding. We've looked right into the process for applying for those funds. There's also a number of businesses that have already received funding, and we can see a real opportunity for us to be able to get what we need for the first 3 years to enable our business to get moving. We also provide critical information for the governments to be able to as I mentioned earlier, really focus where that funding within those policies is going. And we really feel we can give back with that. The university is another area that we can see as an income stream. In return for funding, we intend on providing our research. Our tailored research will provide options for students. So if we have students coming in that have their first option on what they want to do or their chosen career path, if we can provide information if they want to stay within the Hunter region once they graduate, if we can provide information for them to say, yes, teaching's a great pathway to take, but the possibilities of securing full-time work in that industry at the moment are quite low. However, if you chose project management, very similar to teaching, it may be an opportunity for somebody to take that direction, and with that research they can really back up their second decision or their second choice. Also increasing the university's graduate placement scores, so whether universities get ranked on how many of their graduates find full-time positions out of university, it'll help increase those scores as well. The corporate side of things is providing quarterly forecasts. We can tailor the research to the businesses that want to subscribe to our company. The research can, as I said, be tailored, be supplied on a quarterly basis, which can really assist businesses with forecasting some of the potential highs and lows that they may be coming towards when it comes down to skills and professional services. We'll also have recruitment fees from the corporates as we start to build that network. As I say, it comes in at the second year. We really will have established ourselves within the Hunter, and we'll start to build that network, and those corporates will then be able to lean on us to find the right people to put into their businesses. The undergraduates, there's 25,000 domestic students come through the university. We want to take 100 of those guys in the first year and put them into businesses to have work experience and just gain a bit of, as Kate sort of alluded to earlier, just get a bit of experience prior to leaving university about what the working world's all about. Again, it comes at a small fee. We know they're uni students, so we've kept that one relatively light on. The graduates we're going to hit hard, so they're done. We envisage getting 52 graduates into businesses within the first year. So again, when it comes to the feasibility side of things, I don't think we're really stretching too far. I think we're keeping things at a relatively feasible level. And that about sums up my section, and I'm passing over to Kate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jude. And I'm going to speak to you a little bit about branding and marketing. And what I really wanted to bring home to you was a couple of key things. One being why we picked 90 Degree as our business name. The other, why we picked our logo and why we think it's appropriate for the type of offering we've got in the marketplace that we're operating in. And then thirdly, what kind of marketing strategy we're proposing to use. As Jude said, we've got a pretty lean operational budget in that first year, but I'll talk to that in a moment. So we first arrived at our mission statement, which is the right angle for business, and that's where our logo has essentially come from. 90 in degree, where it plays on that mission statement, and the singular degree was chosen because of the very important link between the tertiary education and what we do, and our focus on that is a means of arresting the brain drain of talented tertiary educated people away from the Hunter Valley. Our organisation is driven by 4 key values. You can see them on the screen. You can also see them on our banner behind us here. And we use them to drive everything that we do. It's our mission, it's our direction, and it's at the core of our service offering. So those are service, integrity, partnership and collaboration. So our values guide our service offering, but it's our principles that are the forces that we use to achieve our primary driver, which, as we've said, is to arrest the brain drain of talented young minds away from the Hunter. And our principles are that we're proudly Hunter, that we're all local people, that we've got local connections, that we have a commitment to equality, both in terms of outcomes and access. And that goes toward what Jude was talking about in terms of keeping our access fees low for undergraduates, so that we're not pricing people out of using our services. That we're focused on social and economic sustainability and prosperity, because we see those as very important goals, not only for the Hunter but for the organisation generally. That we offer a quality service provision. Like I said, we know we've got competitors, we know there's other services out there in the marketplace, and what we want our point of difference to be is the quality of the service that we provide. And finally, that we're for purpose, not for profit. And again, I think that's why we're asking stakeholders and leaders of industry such as yourselves here to come on board with us and go on this journey with us so that we can remain committed to that purpose and rather than worrying about the profit side of things as well. So like I said, our lean marketing strategy in these first couple of years is going to be pretty sparse, pretty light on, and primarily driven by the networks that we ourselves already have as part of our professional lives in our other hats, but also utilising the existing social and professional networking organisations of the Hunter. So using firstly the low-cost marketing strategies used by other educational institutions such as email and social media marketing, but then also capitalising on existing events and networking opportunities such as the University Open Days, business chamber functions, Gen Collective and those kinds of particularly interest-based or particularly audience-based networking opportunities as well. By building our own personal networks, we're hoping to increase exposure to the business, what we can offer, and from that move to a place where we're able to be more profligate with our marketing budget and into a more aggressive marketing strategy that does have those resources available to it as well. So I think to tie all of these things together, to give you a really good idea of the area and the void into which we think that we're going to step, I'd like to introduce you to Tegan, who is going to talk to you about a case study, particularly close to Tegan's heart, which is the Astra Aero Lab.
So over the next 20 years, Newcastle Airport is set to expand and take off. The airport will become a small functioning city precinct, fostering all things aviation and other business areas. This will create a hub for both local and international businesses right here in the Hunter region. This will put us on the map as a global gateway linking us to the rest of the world. This connection will be vital for the growth of the area. It will allow local businesses and also talent to stay here, as well as expand their services both nationally and internationally. It will also assist in bringing overseas businesses to the region, giving our undergrads and graduates the opportunities and experiences right here in Hunter. The Astra Aero Lab is the upcoming innovation hub located next door to Newcastle Airport. It is proposed to create over 5,500 new jobs in areas such as defence, aerospace-related research, innovation, manufacturing, engineering and also education. These sectors will greatly assist the RAF, Newcastle Airport, BAE, aviation support facilities and the tenants at the Williamtown Aerospace Centre. This new development would be a major target for 90 Degree from both a corporate partnerships perspective and from also a graduate services perspective. 90 Degree will also focus on supporting existing businesses who choose to call the Astra Aero Lab home, providing them with our job-ready graduates. 90 Degree would have the ability to forecast upcoming jobs. We'll be able to use this information to inform undergrads and graduates of new roles, such as business placements, research projects, and then eventually employment opportunities. This would entice students to stay in the region, but would also bring students into the area who can be placed into businesses with assistance from 90 Degree. Although, in theory, is there an argument that if Newcastle Uni had access to our market research and forecasting information, that the aerospace engineering degree or other similar types of degrees could have been established here sooner, in line with the expansion of the airport and the Astra Aero Lab. We will provide forecasts like this and other similar information, such as new boom areas, to our stakeholders to ensure we fill the gaps with local job-ready talent. There will be numerous new businesses located to the innovation hub in the upcoming years, which will provide an array of businesses for 90 Degree to target. We will be able to form long-lasting partnerships with these businesses to strengthen the relationship between university, business and employment, giving bright minds here in the Hunter region to help reduce the brain drain. And the title of our sections today, I'll pass you over to Ads.
Thanks, Tegan. We've certainly loved listening to Tegan talk about the Aero Lab over the last few weeks. It's obviously very exciting times for Newcastle and the Hunter region. I'm going to take a bit of time and talk about some of our key stakeholders we identified through our research that we believe are key to being integrated if we are going to be successful in arresting the brain drain. So as you can see behind me, there's 4 key stakeholders we've identified. They're the University of Newcastle, university students themselves, local business, local and state government. I've spent some time on each of these stakeholders and outlined some of the benefits that we expect to see by completing the puzzle. I'll start with the university. So some of the key benefits that the university would get from dealing and integrating with a company like 90 Degree would be a stronger outlook on what's next for Newcastle and the Hunter regions. Better forecasting, as we've already mentioned. That way we can align degrees with Newcastle and the Hunter regions. Cost savings and increase in revenue. Increase in full-time employment stats, lifting the university's profile on the world stage. Provide a competitive edge over other universities that currently don't have such targeted programs as 90 Degree. For business, some of the key benefits we see for business, access to ready-made talent. That's job ready that Kate mentioned earlier, so important. Help establish internal grad programs. That's also something that we feel is very important, and Kate touched on that earlier as well. Through our research, we met with a lot of companies that would like to establish a grad program, but currently don't have the expertise or the time in building any business to establish that. So we see 90 Degrees playing a big part in that. Better understanding on what industries to diversify to as we move towards a more white-collar industry for Newcastle and Hunter region. From a local and state government point of view, Jude touched on a few of these key points. 90 Degree is going to look to provide valuable research on the next big growth industries. Peter just touched on the Aero Lab. Were we ready? Are we ready? Who knows? Align funding with studies where needed. Lower the unemployment rate as jobs align with degrees. Increase market intelligence on what planning is required for the future. These are all key elements that we believe are needed to address the brain drain here in Newcastle. The students is the next key element, and this is probably where we spent a lot of our time in market research and concentrating on making sure we get it right for the students. Some of the key benefits we see for students coming on board with 90 Degree would be such things as, starting to develop their own professional networks. We've all got our own professional network. We know how important that is as we move forward through our professional careers. Improve opportunities to be equals with city-based university students. Back in the early days of the program, we met with Jamie Carlson. He presented, he's an academic, from the Newcastle University. He presented a paper on, it was around marketing, but it was around the undergrad programs. He mentioned something that always stuck with us through the whole process, and is what put the fire in our belly to make sure that we executed this as a full-blown business plan. And he said that the city-based university students receive better opportunities because of their companies listed on their CVs via the graduate placement program. As a local Novocastrian, simply not good enough. So 90 Degrees is going to look to change that, build the profile, bring in the big companies to help with our graduate placement program. Some of the other things we also see as well with that graduate placement program, a quick example actually of why that's so important. Recently, about 3 weeks into the Future Leaders program, I was lucky enough to be at the Northern Territory Resources Week. I was on a stand at the Resources Week, and I noticed about 25, 30 odd students from the Charles Sturt Darwin University walking around. I didn't pay much attention to what they were doing, bar me noticing most of them picking up my business card off the table at the front and walking on. The next day I had the pleasure of having lunch with the majority of these students. I sat next to a gentleman by the name of Tom Cartwright. And I got talking to Tim. I said to Tom, sorry, not Tim. What's the inner link with the university? You know, why are you here for Resources Week? How does the university tie into Resources Week? And his answer is exactly why I know this is a feasible project. His answer was, the university encourages us to come to these events to help develop our own professional networks. I said, great, so how's that going for you? He said, oh, it's going okay. He said, I find it hard to go up to someone cold and introduce myself, shake a hand, get a name, and start developing my own professional network. I said, what do you do? He said, we just go around and grab business cards, go back to the office, or the university or home, and we just email them. I said, how's that go for you? We very rarely hear back. So I said to him, you know, alarm bells are going off here, big light bulb moment for myself. I sent 1,000 emails to these guys trying to explain this is going to work, this is going to work. And I explained to him our idea. I said, what if there was a company established that had connections like Hunter, that we could drag you in and give you those introductions? Would that help? Absolutely. So there forms part of the reason why we wanted to develop HunterNet. 90 degree. Aligned with HunterNet.
Just in time.
So if our students are connected with local business, there's no reason for them to be outside of the region. Overall, the outcome will be our students will be well connected with strong networks. Imagine if this was part of HunterNet. If your business are on board, you know, how this service could give you a pipeline of ready-made talent in 100 regions into your business. Think how easy 90 degree could attain job-ready local talent. We believe this will help the rest of Brain Drain. 90 degree is the right angle for business.